Do women secretly crave men who mistreat them? This is a very touchy subject. And the answer is yes and no. But let me explain. There are some therapists out there that believe that some women leave their husbands because they secretly crave abuse. Okay? They secretly crave the bad guy who mistreats them. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm going to explain to you what really is happening so that you can understand this dynamic and prepare yourself for it. Okay. So the truth is, unfortunately, there definitely is some women who are naive and who crave intensity. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of these women don't realize that some of that intensity comes with physical abuse eventually. So let me explain to you. Woman goes out, meets a guy. He comes off really strong. Okay. She's like, man, this guy's strong as hell. Probably got nice muscles, good physique. He's assertive, very dominating. The sex is amazing. She's getting, dominated in bed and everywhere else. He puts her in her place. The guy has boundaries. Awesome, right? This girl falls in love with this guy. She's like, this is where it's at. Okay. I feel protected. I feel like I can't, I feel respect for him. And unfortunately, at the beginning of the relationship, or when she's barely getting to know him, there's a lot of neurochemicals going on in her brain. There's a very big bonding stage that's happening. And even though little red flags will begin to pop up, the woman will ignore them. Oh no, he's not abusive. No, he's just strong. He's just strong. That's what she tells herself. And so time goes on, and I'll just give it to you straight. Those kind of dudes, not all of them, but some of them, a lot of them, are actually really, really insecure. Men who abuse women are the most insecure men there is. The reason they abuse women is because they lack self-control. In order for you to lay your hands on a girl, you have to lose control of yourself. It's not easy. So the woman later finds out that this guy was very strong at first, but now he is severely controlling, extremely jealous and insecure. Like, she can't even go to the store, and if she looks at a dude, she might, get smacked in the car for it. Okay? It's very sad. And he just gets more and more controlling, more and more emotional, because now he's, blowing up at her. Oh, you were looking at that guy weird. I saw you checking out dudes at the car wash or at the grocery store, and now he's confronting her about it. And his true colors are showing. It wasn't strength, it was insecurity, masked as strength. And she'll stay. If she's smart, she'll leave. But some of them will stay for many years, even though there's physical abuse going on. Now, let me explain to you why women are attracted to those men, so that we can dissect this very thoroughly. So, if you notice, I mentioned he was assertive, very dominating, set boundaries. Okay, these are all traits that strong men have. So it's not like she misread him. He was displaying strength, but it was coming from a place of insecurity, not actual strength. And so what a woman secretly craves is not abuse. It's not an asshole that's going to mistreat her. It's not a Chad that is emotionally unavailable and doesn't give a crap about her. It's not what they want. That's what people assume that they want. But that couldn't be further from the truth. What women really want is capability plus restraint. Let me explain that again, okay? Let me tell that to you one more time so you understand. Women don't want abusive men. They want capability plus restraint. Okay? So unfortunately, men like to filter themselves into two categories: the nice guys and the assholes. Okay? What you need to do is learn to live in the middle. You have to be right in the middle of an asshole and a nice guy. So let me explain to you what they really want, okay? A woman wants a man that is not easily walked over. A woman wants a man that she cannot walk all over, that she cannot get her way whenever she wants. A man that is not constantly showering her with affection, attention, availability. A man who has a hard time with conflict and saying no. A man that doesn't enforce his boundaries. Women do not want that. If you do any of those things, you're going to lose the girl you do have, or you're never going to land a high quality woman in your life ever. Okay? So you must learn to be strong by having boundaries, by being assertive, by being very dominating, putting her in her place, telling her no when no means no, without giving explanations. But at the same time, you have to have emotional self-regulation, because that keeps you in true strength. It keeps you from going into an emotional reaction which would trigger you to become emotional. And when you become emotional, you start thinking illogically. You start reacting instead of observing. And when you're reacting, you're watching every action she does, and you start misinterpreting things. She looks at a guy at a grocery store, oh, she must be thinking of cheating on you. And so that creates a terrible dynamic in the relationship. And quite frankly, it's very toxic for you to be behaving like that. You need to be able to be strong and have boundaries and put her in her place, but also to check yourself when you're going overboard and, becoming emotionally, volatile. When you are becoming somebody who is emotionally dysregulated, okay? When you control your emotions, that signals that you are truly strong, not just performative strong, okay? It basically puts you in a category where the woman feels safe being around you, okay? So let's talk about this from a physiological evolutionary standpoint. Women are physically less capable than men. If you've ever gone to the gym, you will see women bench pressing a hell of a lot less than any man, okay? So naturally, women know that a man can easily overpower them. And so their instinct is, will this guy hurt me? And if the answer is yes, or maybe, I'm not sure, then she's gonna feel unsafe. And how do you make a woman feel unsafe? By being emotionally dysregulated, by being an emotional wreck, by getting crazy over the smallest little things, by mistreating her. There's one thing that a lot of guys do is distance, right? As punishment. For example, she turns you down on sex, so you withdraw. Oh yeah? Well, I'm not gonna talk to her anymore. And then you don't talk to her for like 2-3 days. You think that that's strength. It's not. That's weakness. Why? Because you're doing it from emotion. You're doing it to protect your ego because she turned you down, and you're making her feel unsafe. The strong thing to do is emotionally self-regulate. Take the rejection to the chin. Say, hey, no worries, I understand. Walk away cleanly. You can try again another day. That is the clean thing to do. So no, women do not want abusive men. Women do not want to be mistreated. What they want is a man with strength, boundaries, somebody that she can't just walk all over. but also somebody that she can trust not to hurt her, somebody that makes her feel safe, heard, and understood, and somebody who can lead, right? Not with emotions, but with logic. As a man, you should be able to make your woman feel loved, but also let her know through your actions that you're not a weak man, that she needs to respect you, and that people out there in the world also respect you. You know, you cannot be afraid of conflict. If you show a woman that you're afraid of conflict and you're afraid of saying no, she's going to know that other men out there are going to be able to step all over you. And what a woman wants the least is to be with a weak man. Why? Because being with a weak man means she's vulnerable to other guys. Can you imagine if you go out to eat and she knows she's with a weak man and there's another dude there that's like super strong? What happens if he smacks her in the butt? What are you going to do about it? She can't trust you to defend her. So you have to be capable, but have restraint. You have to be capable of doing damage. You have to be capable of danger, but choose not to. That is the number one thing to do. You choose not to, because you have enough strength, aka emotional self-regulation, not to act violent or not to act insecure, not to act accusatory, not to be policing her, not to be controlling her. It's a very thin line that you have to walk between being a nice guy and being an asshole. On the other hand, you have the nice guys, dudes that are just, afraid of conflict, no backbone, scared to tell her no. And these guys are operating from a totally different mindset. Their mindset is fear of abandonment, fear of losing her, fear of themselves. They're scared of themselves. That's why they're afraid of conflict, because they don't trust themselves. So you must develop true strength. True strength comes from internal confidence, not external confidence. A lot of guys go out, they think that by getting giant muscles, six-pack abs, and $1 million, they'll be more confident. And yes, you will be more confident. But that's external confidence. You lose your abs, you get in a car accident, you lose an arm, you lose your money gambling. There goes your confidence. True confidence is internal. And how do you develop true confidence? By putting yourself in dangerous situations. Because when you go through dangerous situations and you come out on top, it trains you to trust yourself. You know that you're capable of going through difficult things and not overreacting. Does that make sense? The more that you go through hardship and come out on top, or at least come out on the other side, safe and sound, you start training your body that you are capable of going through difficult things without losing your absolute mind. Okay? And that is where true strength comes from internal confidence. Knowing without having to tell people that you're capable. You just know that if your woman starts throwing a fit, who gives a shit? You're unmoved, you're centered, you're emotionally self-regulated. You don't depend on other people's approval. You don't depend on other people's emotional state. Shit hits the fan, you're not going to overreact. You're not going to act crazy because you know yourself. You've already been through worse. That's where true strength comes from. That is what you need to develop in order to be capable but restrained. Remember that. Capable but restrained. You have the capacity to be dangerous, but you choose not to because you love her. But at the same time, because you're capable and you know that you have true internal confidence, you're going to be operating on a level that no other man in this world is going to know how to do. Because if you listen to anything self-help, it's go to the gym, get six-pack abs, get giant biceps, become an asshole to women. That's not strength, that's weakness. masking itself as strength. What I'm teaching you is true, actual strength. You'll know you're very dangerous and you won't have to announce it to anybody. She'll pick up on that. And when you choose to be good to her, even though you can be a very, very, very mean person, she's gonna know who she's with. She's not gonna want to leave you for anybody else. There is no way to fake true confidence when it's internal, when you've gone through shit. I'll give you an example, a personal one. I don't talk much about myself, but I will this time. I train MMA a few times a week. For those of you who don't know, it's mixed martial arts, like the UFC. I'm jiu-jitsu. And the reason why I do it is because every time I spar, I'm putting myself at risk. I'm putting myself in danger. I'm physically getting hurt. And I'm also hurting others. And I do that a couple times a week. That puts you in fight or flight mode, literally, because you're physically fighting somebody. And it hurts. You need to put yourself in situations like that consistently with lots of discipline, because that is going to build internal confidence. You're going to train your nervous system that you are capable of protecting yourself, causing harm, but choosing not to, or only choosing to use it when absolutely necessary. There is no woman in this world that is not going to be attracted to somebody like that. I guarantee you. To wrap up this video, you don't need to become cold. You don't need to become an asshole. You don't need to mistreat your woman. You don't need to play games. You don't need to win arguments. You don't need to prove anything to her. Go out there, develop true internal confidence, become as dangerous as you can be, mentally and physically, and have the capability of causing immense harm, but the restraint and the emotional self-regulation to choose to treat others with respect and with love. That's the key to a woman's heart.